To bring you up to speed, then, confirmation in the last few minutes that two men, including a man believed to be the son of Zimbabwe's late former President Robert Mugabe, have officially been arrested tonight. They're likely to face charges of attempted murder after a gardener was shot at a property in Hyde Park in Johannesburg. Also, watching a different angle to this developing story is SABC News specialist correspondent Sophie Mokoena joining us now. Sophie, good to have you on The Full View. First things first, what are we hearing from the Mugabe family, if there's any public response to this? And just how big, how much interest, in fact, do we expect there will be among Zimbabweans back home as far as the story is concerned?
Earlier on, I spoke to someone who has a strong relationship with the Mugabe family. He indicated to me that the former First Lady, Grace Mugabe, is very angry because she has been speaking to his children, telling them to behave. Because if you remember, the other son was arrested in Zimbabwe last year with Dacha. And also the very same son who is now arrested in South Africa. At some point in time, he made court appearances in Zimbabwe after there was a violent scuffle at the mine there in Zimbabwe. And then you would recall that in 2017, Grace Mugabe came to South Africa to see the children, the two boys. And at that time, he found their behavior not becoming, and the people who were in that room, she lost it, and she did beat one of the models who was in that house, and that matter went to court in South Africa. In 2018, in December, the NPA issued a warrant of arrest against Grace Mugabe after AfriForum Nel assisted the family of the model. And therefore, you can see those misfortunes have been following the family. Looking at the issue of how this news is consumed, it has attracted international headlines. You check BBC, you check other media houses, broadcasters, online. Everybody is scrambling for the picture and for the video. Yes, SABC arrived first, so most of the material you see came from Griselda Lewis because she was first at the scene. And therefore, it's a big story. In Zimbabwe, it's bound to be a big story. This is the son of a former president. And you know that Mugabe, much as he had challenges as it relates to his leadership in the twilight days, some people still believe in Mugabe. Mm-hmm. And therefore, it is a big story. In South Africa, it's bigger because of, how people feel about Zimbabweans coming to South Africa. Now, when it's a former first family allegedly having committed a crime or being investigated for murder, it gets even more complicated. But you'd recall that it's no surprise that they live in South Africa sometimes because their mother, Grace Mugabe, was born in East Rand, right, for those who know. And therefore, it's no surprise that you see the family here.
And Sophie, about Grace Mugabe, you mentioned that almost 10 years ago she had legal trouble in South Africa, wanted on a warrant for assault. That has interfered largely over the years with her ability to come to this country for any reason. What will that mean now for any potential visit with her son in custody and likely, as we're hearing from the police tonight, to face a charge of attempted murder?
Well, she will be arrested if she does come in South Africa. There's no way AfriForum would leave that. She will be arrested. There's no immunity. As far as I remember, that was granted to her by any sitting head of state, President Ramaphosa in this case, because it was in 2018. And therefore, I can't see her coming here, and that's where the problem is. The only thing that she can do, there are many Zimbabweans and members of the family here in South Africa. Some fled when Mnangagwa and his people took over power. That coup in Zimbabwe. Later, there were elections to sanitize that coup, and you still have people who are in exile. Some were ministers of the late former President Robert Mugabe. Those are the people behind the scenes who will try and help. And secondly, maybe Bona, the daughter, might come down to come and see the elder daughter. And she's quite a dignified woman, and I think that's the only way that people can find a way to come and assist. But I can't see Grace Mugabe coming, and I'm also told that she was also struggling with some issues in Zimbabwe and health issues. So I can't see her coming to South Africa.
And Sophie, just when you look back to 2017, when Grace Mugabe was wanted on that assault charge, the South African government was largely criticized for allowing her to leave the country. And I would imagine even this time there'll be a lot of focus to see if carrying the Mugabe name will help the son in any way to possibly, I use the word possibly because we don't know, evade any sort of responsibility or fair legal process. How much weight does the Mugabe name hold here in South Africa and back home? And do we expect that to be a focus in this matter?
Every case in the court in South Africa, the judiciary is impartial. They deal with matters as they are presented before them. So it's not going to be about the fact that he's a Mugabe, but they will look at the gravitas of the case. I mean, these are serious charges, attempted murder, and therefore it will be very difficult to get a bail and all of that. Therefore, the courts in South Africa are very independent, and there's no way they will even think that they are dealing with Mugabe's son. It's going to be this alleged perpetrator or someone who allegedly have committed crime, and they will deal with that matter in that way. You know, many Zimbabweans at times are being arrested in South Africa for different issues, and when the courts deal with their matter, the courts deal with their matter, they don't even think about which family, which country. They deal with issues presented before them by the investigators, that is the police, including the NPA that has to take a decision whether this case can be in their cases that might, where they will yield much needed results as it relates to prosecution. So for courts, for NPA, for the police, it's not about Mugabe. Yes, there's no way as South Africans, as media, we can't link and look back. For example, I interviewed Robert Mugabe, President Robert Mugabe, after he was removed from office in 2018. He was so aggrieved. I could see that this family in the coming days or months, they were going to have problems. And therefore, they are still in the news even now, something perhaps Mugabe wouldn't have wanted, because this one, it's a negative story. It's not even a positive story.
Sophie Mokoena, SABC News Specialist Correspondent, thank you very much for that perspective on how this news is going down in Zimbabwe. We'll bring you all the latest lines on what has, for all intents and purposes, been a developing story. The arrest tonight of 2 men, including, we believe, the son of former late Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe on a charge of attempted murder after a gardener was shot at a property here in Johannesburg.